And this week's blog is all about the difference between facilitation and training. So for historical reasons, a lot of human resource and learning and development practitioners, they still refer to our space as training and the people who carry out the work as trainers. So companies like ours are often lumped together as training companies. Now we understand that and we're sympathetic to it because the upside is that by using the word training, we're easily identified and we're categorized. You know, our clients and prospects know exactly where we fit, what we do. But the downside is that because our people are facilitators and not trainers, we may appear expensive when compared to other providers in our space. So we wanted to take this opportunity to point out the difference between what we do, which we call facilitation, and training. So to start with, let's look at a definition of the verb to facilitate. Now the origins can be traced back to the 17th century in France. Faciliter means to render easy, and it's a word derived from the Latin facilis, meaning easy. So we can determine from this that to facilitate is to render or to make easy. And the different roles of the facilitator and the trainer, they're very important in determining the dynamics of a group. So for example, in a typical training session, the trainer might stand at the front and just disseminate information. Training is predominantly focused on the transfer of knowledge and information from the trainer to the learners. Of course, there is discussion, sometimes there's even debate around the topics. However, there is usually a prescriptive agenda and method of delivery, and a minimum amount of material that needs to be covered in a training session. Depending on the experience level of the trainer, there is a danger that participants see themselves as observers rather than active participants in the learning journey. And their takeaway may be stuff that's learned rather than having experienced something shift. So the facilitator, by contrast, will tend to draw out contributions from the group, helping them to just discover the information. So facilitation is more fluid, and whilst there is still a body of material to be covered, there is much more sort of exploration and flexibility around the methods used in arriving at the same outcome. So the journey between start and finish times may be dramatically different from group to group and also from day to day, and it may well even be different between different facilitators. But learners are invited to be active participants rather than observers. There's much more likely to be a real shift in individual thinking and behaviour as a direct result of the session. The trainer might also manage things such as timekeeping on behalf of the group, and this tends to create passivity in the group, and it's a kind of dependency on the trainer for direction. Whereas conversely, the facilitator might choose to sit with the group and then negotiate timekeeping with the participants. So this encourages the group to take more responsibility and more direction for their own learning. The facilitator will adapt their approach and foster the dynamics to meet the group's objectives. So the learning process happens in the here and now as group members more fully engage with themselves, with others, and with the issues being addressed. So it's a very alive and it's a very holistic experience. And by contrast, the trainer requires group members to adapt to the predefined training program or agenda. The trainer often has the idea of delivering material to an audience, whereas the facilitator utilises the wisdom that each person brings and then the wisdom of the whole group. So the skills required to facilitate, they're on a whole different level to those of a trainer. I mean, grounding in behavioural psychology is a given. An in-depth understanding of group dynamics, the ability to question and then to process all the responses, a resistance to tell replaced by a preference to ask. All of these are vital requirements of a good facilitator. It's a pull approach, not a push approach. And that's why we cost more at TLC. In reality, the two terms are used interchangeably with little thought being given to their sort of relative strengths. So the next time you hear someone say that all trainers are alike, or that all training companies are the same, please think of this blog and challenge them. Thank you for watching.